No, I actually like Caitlyn. And I'm just being real and truthful. She has brought millions. I wouldn't be surprised if it's billions of eyes onto the W and onto women's sports.
Sophie Cunningham has never been one to hold back. Her most recent disclosure regarding Caitlin Clark is shocking the WNBA. You also need to keep in mind that if it weren't for the WNBA by now, she might be playing. Put an end to the rumors that you're leaving or going abroad. Sophie simply provided an honest explanation that goes beyond any report on injuries. What she revealed highlights the unrelenting pressure, unrealistic expectations, and harsh reality that the league's top player must deal with. This is about survival, not hype. Take a seat as we explore Sophie's startling revelation and its implications. The voice that won't shut up. In a world where honesty has a cost and silence is frequently rewarded, Sophie Cunningham has opted for the more difficult route. Sophie has established herself as the WNBA's most unvarnished truth-teller, while the majority of players adhere to prepared responses and cautious PR spin. And she is actually footing the bill. She was fined thousands of dollars by the league in 2024 alone for speaking out loud what many players only whisper in private. It all began with a single comment on a TikTok post criticizing dubious officiating, which took $500 out of her paycheck. Or is it sluggish? Perhaps it's pointless. She then lost an additional $1,500 due to a podcast segment that revealed inconsistent calls. Will I be discovered by the WNBA because you were fined for episode 1? I was fined $1,500. What? I ask. This is just the beginning, I think. I mean, are you serious? Furthermore, the penalty amount was not even revealed when she dared to accuse the league of outright favoritism. In the hopes that the message was clear, they simply slapped her with another fine and moved on. Quit talking and go play. Sophie, however, won't participate in that game. The reason she poses such a threat to the status quo is that she never stops talking. Consider it. The annual salary range for WNBA players is approximately $64,000 to $242,000. A $1,500 fine is equivalent to losing 2 weeks' rent or a portion of their off-season salary for many athletes. Almost anyone would be silenced by such a monetary penalty. Nevertheless, Sophie continues to persevere, endure setbacks, and inform fans of the true state of affairs within the league. She is no longer just another athlete expressing annoyance following a difficult game because of this. She is now the unofficial whistleblower for the league. The player is prepared to take on penalties, criticism, and possible career setbacks in order to expose the truth. And the reason her voice is so significant is because of her reputation. Fans are aware that Sophie's words are not merely conjecture or a desperate attempt to gain attention. It is first-hand account from a person who works in the grind. Her choice to continue speaking up despite the consequences lays the groundwork for everything that comes after. This is the reason her remarks regarding Caitlin Clark are so significant. Sophie isn't making up a story. She's bringing to light unsettling facts that the league would prefer to remain hidden. It is impossible to ignore her voice because of this. So, was Sophie accusing the league of impeding Clark's progress or alluding to unspoken pressure? Avoid blinking. Everything is altered by the response. The revelation regarding Caitlin Clark. The most important question surrounding the WNBA has been the same for weeks. When will Caitlin Clark return? In an effort to get a specific timeline, reporters have questioned coaches, teammates, and league officials. Every day, fans scroll through updates in search of clarification. However, they have been given ambiguous statements rather than precise answers. We'll see next week, day by day. There is currently no update. Only conjecture has been stoked by the silence. Then, on her podcast, Sophie Cunningham destroyed it. She said one line that instantly altered the conversation without any drama or build-up. If it weren't for the WNBA, she might be playing. You also need to keep in mind that if it weren't for the WNBA by now, she might be playing. The impact of those words was like a thunderclap. They weren't coming from an outsider speculating from the sidelines or a fan on social media. They originated from a member of the league who is familiar with the harsh realities of what it takes to compete at this level. Sophie's statement was more than unexpected to Caitlin Clark's millions of followers. It was concerning. Consider what Sophie said. This goes beyond Caitlin's need for additional time to heal from an injury. It has to do with the settings she is attempting to return to. Sophie clarified that Caitlin's absence is not a sign of weakness or a lack of fortitude. It has to do with the WNBA's harsh standards. Caitlin was outstanding at Iowa. She sold out arenas, attracted record crowds, and raised TV ratings to all-time highs as the face of college basketball. She was a generational talent due to her range, vision, and ability to change games on her own. However, Sophie disclosed that those achievements don't always translate to the WNBA. You can't just be good here. You must be perfect. Additionally, the league will devour you if you are not prepared on a physical, mental, and competitive level. That was the shocking revelation. Sophie wasn't disparaging Caitlin's abilities. Most people didn't want to hear the truth that she was revealing. Even a superstar like Caitlin Clark needs more time to adjust to the intensity of the WNBA. It's a survival issue rather than an emotional one. Sophie emphasized how harsh this league has become by pointing out that Caitlin could already be playing somewhere else. Caitlin may already be on the court, wowing spectators, whether she's abroad or even back in college. But in this case, the demands are so high that a hasty return could endanger not just her season but her career as a whole. Sophie's words struck with such force because of this. Not only was she providing fans with updates, but she was also raising awareness of a league that may be too harsh even for its most talented players. What chance does anyone else have, though, if the WNBA is this harsh on a generational star like Caitlin? To find out, keep watching. The WNBA's brutal standard. Sophie Cunningham wasn't lying when she said that Caitlin Clark might be playing if it weren't in the WNBA. She was drawing attention to a reality that players experience on a nightly basis, but that most fans only see on the surface. The WNBA is a completely different world from college basketball, not just a step up. Furthermore, good is insufficient in this universe. Caitlin Clark was untouchable at Iowa. She was unstoppable against college defenses because of her skill, range, and vision. However, the defenders in the WNBA are more aggressively physical, faster, and stronger. Every athlete on the court used to be the top players in her program. Every spot on the roster belongs to someone who fought their way through years of fierce competition in order to make it. And Sophie put it plainly. You must be perfect at this level. Talent alone is not enough. Fans were taken aback by her description of the league. WNBA games frequently feel more like rugby to Sophie than basketball. The hits are more forceful and the contact is continuous. Players openly discuss how they need armor to get through a season. Additionally, referees allow far more contact than fans are aware of, fostering an atmosphere where toughness is required. It is required. Imagine returning to that kind of stage following an injury. Stars are cautiously reintroduced in the majority of leagues, with time limits and additional referee protection. However, there is very little room for error in the WNBA. A comeback can be stopped before it starts by a single error, a single hesitation, and the physicality of the league. Sophie was exposing that harsh standard. Caitlin may already be back on the floor overseas. She would most likely be playing by now if she were in college. However, rushing back in the WNBA entails much greater risk than a few poor performances. Re-injury, a decline in self-esteem, or even professional setbacks could result from it. Here's the crucial information. Caitlin wasn't being called soft by Sophie. The exact opposite. She clarified that there is no doubt about Caitlin's toughness and work ethic. She was drawing attention to the extreme nature of the WNBA. The league is at its deepest point ever. The competition is intense from the starting five to the final bench spot. No easy matchup or weak link exists. Every player has the ability to reveal even the tiniest vulnerability, and every possession is a battle. Sophie was referring to this very reality when she said that Caitlin's absence isn't just about healing. Caitlin's lack of heart is the reason she isn't sitting out. Because anything less than 100% preparedness is a surefire recipe for disaster in the modern WNBA, she is sitting out. The league demands that players arrive fully prepared or risk being swallowed whole. It doesn't give them time to settle into their rhythm. And Sophie's bombshell revolves around that. Caitlyn's predicament is a reflection of the league's development rather than merely a personal hardship. Even generational stars now need extra time to survive in the fiercely competitive, physically demanding, and merciless WNBA. It's a harsh standard. Furthermore, it might not even be sustainable, as Sophie suggested. The two-tier system and favoritism. Biting her tongue has never been Sophie Cunningham's style. Furthermore, her criticism of the WNBA was motivated by frustration with what she perceived as a risky pattern rather than resentment. For her, the problem wasn't so much the demanding requirements of the league as it was the unequal application of those requirements. She contended that while some players received protection and cushioning, others were left to suffer unrelenting physical abuse without assistance from officials. She described it as a two-tier system. The most obvious instance occurred when JCS Sheldon drove into Caitlin Clark and shot her in the face during a heated match. It was obvious, careless, and could have easily sidelined Clark once more. It wasn't subtle. However, the officials downgraded it to Tanantitu after reviewing it. A blatant one. The kind of penalty more appropriate for a negligent bump than a potentially harmful blow. Shortly after, Marina McBride used both hands to shove Clark, causing her to fall to the hardwood. Just a shove, no attempt at the ball, no pretense of a basketball move. And the answer? No ejection, no major repercussions. Ashley Gloss, the crew chief, defended the choice, saying it didn't qualify for an ejection.